This man is just the second Israeli-born fighter in the history of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and he makes his UFC debut next month in Brazil against Godofredo Pepey. He is Noad Lahat, and look at that. Wow, at AKA, joining us via Skype. That is amazing. Shalom, Chaver.
How you doing?
I'm doing tov. It's great to have you on. I'm very happy for you. I'm very happy for your country that they finally.
Don't do it in English.
Well, I've seen you at the fights when you pretend not to speak English and you have John Fitch do your translation. But I think for this show, one day we'll do it in Hebrew. For this show, let's do it in English. All right?
Okay.
What was it like,
sure.
my friend, when you got the contract, when you got the call that you would finally fight in the UFC?
Oh, that was a very exciting moment. I was waiting for that for many years.
You originally, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. But I'm more excited about my fight than the actual contract.
Right, of course.
That's what I was really waiting for.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Originally, you were contacted to fight in 2011, but you were injured, right, and you couldn't make your debut. Is that accurate?
Yes and no. I was supposed to, and then was flooded by a lot of guys from the 155 division. Went down, and the division got a little bit booked. So I was set aside for a little bit and waited for my chance to get in.
And now you're fighting at 145, right?
Yeah. I always was supposed to fight 145.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let's talk about your journey here, because you don't obviously hear about a lot of fighters coming out of Israel. When did you first, get interested in mixed martial arts or martial arts in general as a youngster, I presume?
Oh, yeah. I started in martial arts. I started in judo when I was 5 years old. I trained in judo for many years, all the way till I was 18 years old. Then I joined the military. I served in the military for 3 years, and then I went back to judo, but it wasn't the same anymore. It was a little boring. I looked for something a little bit more. So I started doing jiu-jitsu. A friend called me and told me, "Oh, why don't you come and train with me?" I started doing jiu-jitsu. I loved it, but still, it was a little bit too soft for me. So next step was MMA.
Now, you mentioned being in the military. A lot of people might not know this, but in Israel, once you reach 18, you have to join the military, right?
Yes, that's correct. But because I was an athlete and I had the chance to serve a not very meaningful job, that I was able to be an athlete at the same time. But I decided that my country needed me more in the field and on the mat, so I joined the competitive. Yeah.
So they were willing to give you a pass. They were willing to not have you be in the military.
No, being in the military, but giving you some desk job that you can at the same time wasn't for me.
What did you think of it, being in the military? You were there for 3 years. Did you enjoy the experience?
Yes and no.
For obvious reasons.
Yes, of course. Nobody likes to walk 60 miles journey during the night with a lot of weight on you and people yelling at you, or you can't see home and stuff like that. But you do what you have to do.
When I was in the ninth grade, they took us to Gadna. Do you know Gadna?
Oh, yes, I do know Gadna. That's what you do to a lot of Jewish foreigners coming to Israel.
Oh, yes. Wow. One of the worst experiences of my life.
That, but just a little bit more intense.
Yeah. Well, what I felt bad about was they take us, spoiled kids from Canada, and they put us in Gadna next to actual Israelis who are, training to go into the military, and we're there complaining about the food and the beds. I never went under the sheets once because I was afraid that it was so dirty under there. Taking the shower, it was just horrible, and it gave me such an appreciation for what you guys have to go through at such a young age, how you mature to defend your country, and no one wants to be in that position, and it's still an ongoing, it's an ugly situation, but it just gave me a lot of appreciation, respect for what you guys do. I'll never forget it. My 1 week in Gadna in the ninth grade.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's obviously not the same, but yeah, I have a friend from Brazil actually told me he went and did something like that in a little bit older age, and after a week there, he called me and, "Listen, man, I appreciate so much what you did after a week there. I only can imagine what you guys really going through."
So when you were away serving for your country, did you get to actually train at all in any kind of martial arts? You said judo at the time. Did you miss it?
Oh, yeah.
You did?
Yeah, missed it. Like every time I used to go home for like a few days, I used to stop at my gym and go for it a little bit, throwing people.
Did it feel like it?
I,
Go ahead.
but we had like our own kind of training of like fighting hand-to-hand combat in the military.
Right.
Famous Krav Maga, what everybody asks me about.
Of course.
Uh, yeah, so it wasn't the same, but it wasn't fun, but we had a little bit of that.
So you trained in Krav Maga.
Yeah, it's not, a lot of people ask me about it. Oh, are you going to bring it to the cage, something? It's not really like it's not a formal martial arts that people train and you can bring it. It's more about the attitude, the drag you out of night at 5 a.m. when it's raining outside, make you sprint, beat the crap out of you for a while, just make you tough.
Right. Did you feel like going to the military for 3 years stunted your growth as a martial artist? Like, did you think that maybe you could have gone for the Olympics or something like that, but this came at a time when you couldn't do that?
Well, it didn't make me good with martial arts, but it definitely as a fighter, I'm a much tougher person because of that. There is nothing, there is no man that can scare me in the cage. It's like, what the worst thing you're going to do, punch me in the face?
Right. Exactly.
So is that my dream as when I was as a kid growing up was to go to the Olympic, but not anymore. Now I now I want to be in the cage fighting people.
Now I'm sure it's to be a UFC champion, right?
Obviously.
So when you get out, you're around 21 years old.
Yeah.
When do you start thinking about mixed martial arts? Because what year is this around when you're around 21? What year are we talking about? 2006, you said?
2006,
Yeah.
I went back to judo for a little bit, looking place to train. I trained, but again, it wasn't the same. I think around 2007, end of 2007, I went to Brazil to train with the master Ricardo Vieira. I trained in Brazil looking for jiu-jitsu. So I did like, usually I went to Brazil with my friends. Mostly all the soldiers getting out of the military have two directions, either Asia or South America for travel, for after the military.
Okay.
So I started in Brazil, supposed to meet my friends in Argentina. And I was supposed to be in Brazil for 2 weeks, and I got stuck in Brazil for close to 6 months.
Wow.
Left, just trained, ran out of money, went back home, worked, went back to Brazil, trained a little bit more. And that's how I fell in love in jiu-jitsu and moved on to MMA.
Why were you stuck there for 6 months?
Because I couldn't live.
Oh, okay. You just loved it so much.
I was in Copacabana, I walked into the gym, Ricardo Vieira gym, and I fell in love in the training and jiu-jitsu and everything, and I never traveled.
Right.
Supposed to travel with my friends all across South America, got stuck in Copacabana.
Wow. And did it have anything to do with the acai? Because I just love it over there. Did you try it? Because that enough would make me want to stay.
That was about 50% of my diet.
Was the acai, right? Yes, I'm obsessed with it. I talk about it enough on this show. So
Yeah.
so you stay there.
Yeah.
Did jiu-jitsu, did you think, okay, that's it, or did you know that jiu-jitsu would lead to MMA?
So the beginning I competed over there a lot, but I knew it's gonna lead to MMA right when I was there. That was like my real passion.
Did you even watch mixed martial arts as a kid? Was it even on TV in Israel back then?
No, not as a kid, but I found it. I think my little brother found a few like YouTube stuff on of the UFC, and we watched it together, and I was like, oh, that's what I want to do, and everybody looked at me like, seriously, lost your mind?
So you didn't have posters of Moti Horenstein on your wall as a kid?
No, actually, I didn't know who he is growing up.
No, you know who he is now, right?
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah.
Okay, so and correct me if I'm wrong. You won the 2011. Which tournament was it in jiu-jitsu? As a brown belt, right?
I won many, but I think my
The most
biggest event was the World Championship. Yeah.
as a brown belt, right?
Yes, it's a brown belt.
Okay, but now you're a black belt.
Yes, I'm a black belt.
How did you end up to being there at AKA, which you're at right now? How did you go from Brazil to AKA?
So from Brazil, I first of all I came here to California to compete. Most of the major tournaments are in California, and my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, she's living right here across the street from AKA. So,
Wow.
Yeah. So when I looked for a place to train, I was like, oh, let's try this place, AKA. I walked in and they told me, oh, you're a fighter. Laughed at me. Okay, let's see what you got. Put me in the same ring you see behind me, that ring. They put me in for 3 rounds with Josh Thompson. He got ready for his Melendez fight.
Wow.
Whooped me for 3 rounds. But at the end, they told me, okay, your skill is lacking, but you have the heart, and we can work with that. So you can stay for now.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many years ago was this? Which
Oh,
Melendez fight was it? 2009?
2000. Yeah.
And you haven't left since.
No.
How badly did he hurt you in that sparring? Like, did you really get your ass kicked?
Yes.
Did you think about not coming back?
No.
No.
I was like, yeah. I was like, no. I was okay. I'll get you back.
How
I
long?
have to.
How long did it feel like you were finally comfortable there, that you belonged?
I it took me a while.
Do you feel comfortable now?
Yes, definitely.
So, what would you say within the last year or 2 years?
Comfortable as what? As a fighter or
Well, just
comfortable with?
comfortable that the AK is one of the most famous gyms in the world with some of the biggest names that you feel like, all right, I
Oh,
belong here as much as them.
I was comfortable the first day in. I was yeah famous for that. I was like walking in right away and talking everyone as equal. And like who are you? you know. But yeah, I never had a problem. I have that Israeli attitude.
Right. It's funny you mentioned that because I saw some videos with Bob Cook and Javier Mendez of AK, and they say that at first, even your wife, I saw it was on Sherdog, and they were saying, at first you're like the typical Israeli. You're just a little rough around the edges, maybe not the most the warmest guy, but then after some time, so you would agree that you're the prototypical Israeli.
Rough everywhere.
Rough everywhere. Okay.
Rough edge.
And you like that? You're okay with that?
Ah, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Why are Israelis like that, by the way? Why are they so tough?
It's where we grow up. You have to be tough.
Yeah.
It's a little country surrounded by billion of people trying to kill you. You have to be tough.
That is a very good point. So when do you decide I'm actually going to become an MMA fighter, and why did you do that?
I think the first time when I trained jiu-jitsu, a friend that was getting ready for a fight asked me to come and help him. Oh, can you help me with the takedowns with the jiu-jitsu? I was like, oh yeah, I can help you. And helping him, I was like, I'm pretty good at that. I can do that. So a few months later, there was another event in Israel. I was like, oh, I think I'm going to go for that event. I want to fight.
Wow.
And yeah, that's how it started.
But you've never actually fought MMA in Israel, right?
No, actually, yeah, I have a few fights in Israel.
Oh,
Yeah,
the pro fights.
yeah, pro fights, yeah.
But it's not obviously on the level like when how many people show up to those events?
A few thousand.
Oh, really? Wow. Who
Yeah.
knew? I
Yeah.
know there was that one event, the IFC, Israeli Fighting Championship, but they kind of just folded after an event, right?
It's Desert Combat. I think there's a few
Yep.
more still going on. They changed their name. They used to name a dogfight. Now it's a IWC.
Now,
Keep changing their name. But we have we're lacking the actual, the real professional, but back home that can train full time. But we have the beginner levels, the 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, stuff like that.
right. You
And
could
then-
be like the Conor McGregor of Israel. You can inspire a whole nation out to start training more and more and really blow up the sport there. Is that what you're hoping?
I hope to win the first fight first.
That's it. Just the first fight. It's funny though how it all comes full circle, and the first fight is in Brazil.
Yes, that's true.
And you're
Yeah.
fighting Godofredo Pepey. What do you know about him?
Well, I do know you have a lot of a lot of experience in the UFC. You have a good jiu-jitsu game that he have no fear about pulling guard and trying to play that game, and we'll see.
Was there a time?
I'm confident about my jiu-jitsu, so I don't
Right.
care if someone will guard on me.
Was there a time when you thought you wouldn't get here? I understand that you were diagnosed with colitis, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. How does that affect you as far as dieting and training and whatnot?
It affect me a lot. Yeah, affect a lot, like in every aspect of my life. But it's part of the Israeli said it's all in your head. But I'm hoping to show other people too that it's not it. There's nothing you can't do if you want to.
Right.
You have to put everything and all your balls in one in one basket and go for it. And there's one thing I can't get anyone telling me you can't do something.
Right.
So when I heard that, and the doctor was like, "Oh, you can't do that anymore." I was like, I don't think so.
So they actually told you to stop fighting?
They told me, yeah, they told me you have to take something easier. But I said no.
Wow. And
Yeah.
do you feel like you have been able to sort of maintain it now? Like you have a grasp on it now?
Uh, Good days, bad days.
Okay. Does it affect as far as what obviously what you eat and stuff is a big part of it. Does it hurt you as far as your dieting and like does maybe fighting at 155 make more sense? You don't have to diet as much. Do you ever think of that?
Uh, no,
No.
I'm good at 45. That's no problem. The thing is, I'm not like I'm training with the 155ers, like real 55ers, Jerry Thompson and
Yeah.
Gray Maynard, and those are big boys. So
Right. You're not a big excuses kind of guy. I get the impression.
no.
I
You said
noticed. Yeah, I noticed Haaretz and other outlets in Israel. They covered this. Did you get the impression this was a big deal when you signed with the UFC?
I got more big deal, I think, from the crowd. It's from the actual people
Right.
more than that. I got the media, like especially the sport channels and stuff like that. A few of the news, but I got more response from the people than the actual media.
Okay. Well, best of luck to you. I know you have to go to class. What's going on in back of you over here? What kind of class is this?
That's the morning class I'm teaching. So right now they know what they're doing.
Okay. And they're
So I'm
waiting for
good.
the instructor to come back. Now, is this just for general? This is just the general public, right? That can come in and take this class.
This is no problem. That's students every morning here at AKA.
And this is the Hillsdale School.
That's the Hillsdale, yeah.
Great. It's unbelievable. Well, congratulations to you.
Thank
And
you.
I'm looking forward to it. It's March 23rd, right? In Natal, Brazil, you versus Godofredo Pepey. A very big deal for Israeli MMA fans. They've been waiting a long time for this. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck, my friend.
Thank you.
Toda rabah.
Thank you. Bakasha, akhi.
There he is. Noad Lahat, the newest member of the UFC's featherweight division, making his UFC debut March 23rd, I should say. That is a Sunday in Natal, Brazil. Thank you very much to him for taking some time out of his jiu-jitsu schedule to stop by and join us here for a few minutes. Looking forward to that. That is a big deal. Of course, that's a topic that I am interested in, being a young Jewish male myself and one who has visited the great country of Israel many times. And this is not a political thing or anything like that. But when you have someone who is one of your own, so to speak, that's exciting stuff. And plus, there have only been one other MMA fighter from Israel, Moti Horenstein, who fought Mark Coleman and then Mark Kerr, 1996 and 1997. I think Noad has a better shot to make some noise in the UFC, a bigger prospect. A very small country, just 7 million people. The sport is now being televised over there on the Sport 5 channel. It is becoming a lot more popular. You are seeing a lot of fans more interested. I get more tweets and things like that from fans over there. So I think having someone like him, and you've noticed, UFC signing guys in these strategic markets. Not saying that he's one of those guys. He's undefeated. He's 7-0. 6 of his 7 wins have been finishes. But you need some of these names to help build these markets. I don't think they're going to go to Israel and put on an event there anytime soon. But it's always good to have a homegrown guy, a local hero, if you will, go out there and do well, especially when you have these TV deals and you're trying to build these markets all over the country. So looking forward to that. That's a great story, and kind of cool that it's coming full circle and he gets to fight once again in Brazil, a place that he fell in love with, and now he gets to fight one of their own on their home turf. Godofredo, who was a finalist on the Tough Brazil season #1.